Welcome to the 2019 Cardinal baseball season. As we're on the cusp of getting the season started, so we thought we'd sit down with head coach Ray Cavanagh here with Chad and Dale and kind of go through what we're looking at for the season ahead. And Coach, thanks for joining us.
No problem. Glad you guys were able to come up and enjoy this nice cloudy day here that we have.
And that gentleman sitting to your right, your head assistant, director of operations there.
Yeah, you know, control of player personnel decisions and things like that.
Keegan,
Jack of all trades.
Keegan, any initial thoughts here as we kick off the season? All right, we'll let Dad talk.
First time he's ever been speechless.
So, getting to the actual varsity team here, Coach. Kind of the most experienced team you might have had here in the last 2-3 years. All finally.
Yeah, we have a lot of upperclassmen. And, even though I think we got 14 guys, juniors and seniors, on the team this year, which is a pretty big number for us at this point. Probably 5 years ago, and was been Coach Bowman's last season. It was probably the last time we had that many upperclassmen. I think we were at about 10 seniors that year. And I know with the 14 that we have this year, there's 4 or 5 of them that are out for the first time in a few years, or in a couple years. But, glad to have them out. It's good to have the numbers.
And so let's start with returning players. Who do you expect to be the team leaders this year?
Well, Kane's been playing. Kane Kopp at center field, been playing for 3 years now. This will be I think we had him up as a freshman as well. He's been playing now this will be his 4th year here. Letter winner for us, and does a great job in center field. Really come along last year, I thought, as a pitcher, and really started to develop a little bit more there, and getting stronger with his bat a little bit. The hard part with Kane is he's just coming off his golf season, so he's not quite in game shape yet, but he's going to get there. And
he should be used to that by now.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's what we deal with in baseball. I know, listening to Coach Nelson the other day, she's dealing with the same thing over there in softball. And, when you're at a school our size, that's what you have to do. You share your athletes, and as long as they're being athletic somewhere, that's still going to help us out. So, but I think he's got to be a big contributor for us. Caden Scott's another senior that this will be his 3rd year starting in the outfield for us. He might get moved around a little bit, playing some different spots. Thomas Crossland's 3rd year in the outfield for us. So those 3 guys, and Bryce Hanson's another returning senior that he had played mostly 3rd base for us all year, and really started to come around as a hitter towards the end of the year. The coach had him hitting down in the bottom part of the order and not hitting great, and moved him up to the 2-hole and probably hit 250 the second half of the season, hitting in that 2 spot. So I told Mangler he's got to get better at putting those guys in the right positions in that batting order.
It was Brad's fault.
Oh, yeah, definitely. But he's really came along as a hitter, and has continued it this spring. He's been hitting well in practice, and hopefully he's going to keep that going through the season this year. But those 4 seniors spent a lot of time on the field for us over the last couple of years, and hopefully they'll finish their high school career with a little bit better result than what we've had the last couple of years. So Aaron Bramer is another senior that's out this year, and he wasn't out last year, but we'll see some time in the outfield, and left-hander to put on the mound a little bit as well. The other juniors, got a lot of juniors coming back too, with Grunwald and Jack Dostal, and Liam Onen was up towards the end of the year last year, and Abe Mickle. All those guys got a lot of playing time. So, I was filling out some surveys from newspapers and stuff over the last few days, and how many did you lose from last year? 1. Any returning letter winners? 9. How many returning starters? 8. So it's nice to have that, and I think there's some younger guys coming up, and Cannon 3rd year playing now, and kind of expect him. I hate to do it, but it's like, okay, you want your sophomores to become your leaders, but Cannon's at a 3rd year now, and Ryan Grunwald's 4th year. He's been playing since
Grunwald's
since
the grandpa
grade.
of the group.
Yeah, he is.
And he'll be here next year when we're talking
yeah,
this yet.
Exactly. So, it's nice having those guys that have been around, and I think you talk about Grunwald and Cannon are going to be 2 kids. They're going to step on the field. They're not going to be intimidated by anything, and the guys that they're going to see on the mound, they're going to embrace any kind of challenges that we see in the WAMAC, and we see a lot of them in the WAMAC. So,
Well, I would just add to that. I think the thing that you see with one thing about this group is you've got a lot of guys that play a lot of positions. You alluded to with Caden Scott. Ryan Grunwald's a guy that plays a lot of spots. Sounds like Bryce Hansen has been kind of flexible too in spots. Cannon plays multiple positions. Kane pitches and plays plays center field. But you got a lot of guys that are movable, and they're used to playing around each other in multiple spots now, and that sure helps coaching wise. Gives you a little flexibility.
Yeah, it's nice when I kind of Grunwald, trying to figure out, okay, what position do you put down for Grunwald? I just wanted to write whatever position the pitcher plays.
Yeah,
because it's just going to be that kind of a deal for him that he's going to play first, he's going to play second, he's going to play short, he's going to catch, he's going to play probably all outfield spots, he's going to pitch himself. But he's going to go everywhere, wherever we need him, and that's the nice part, is that he embraces that, he enjoys that.
Yeah, you got to have those guys.
Right.
Jack Dostal's another one, I think, too, that, he's capable of playing all the infield spots probably. And pitching-wise, he stepped in a lot of non-conference games against tough opponents last year and through a lot of innings. And
yeah, he was one that, you look at his pitching numbers from last year, and they're probably not as good as he'd like him to be. But, he threw against North Scott. He threw against Dubuque Wahlert. He threw against Davenport North. He threw against all of the non-conference games that we had, and was quite successful in a lot of them. But yeah, he'll be another one that sees some time at short, second, first. He'll play a lot of the infield spots. Might see some outfield too. We're still trying to kind of find that lineup right now. I told the kids the other night we were taking an infield, and I had a couple guys back behind the plate. I said, well, right now I got about 13 different lineups for Monday's game, so we'll see which one works out the best.
Speaking of behind the plate, you got about, I think, 6 kids that can catch too.
Yeah,
that's kind of unusual as well.
It is. It's it's a good problem to have. With Cannon and Ryan and Abe Mickle, who Abe probably caught half the games last year or better, and Cannon and Ryan get back there a couple times, and Mitchell Rader is a freshman. I haven't mentioned him yet, but he's another one that came up last year as an 8th grader, and I think he played probably 6 different spots for us. I know there was another 8th grader we had the year before that played 8 different positions, and coach screwed up and didn't put him in the 9th one.
You love them all.
We got to do that before the end of the year. Have one kid play all 9 positions.
We only play 7 innings. Though.
Well, you'll have to move them in between innings with pitching changes.
Yeah, there you go. Yep. Yeah, it is a nice ability to have that many catchers. Definitely.
Well, it's also nice to, you talked about the upper class numbers, and just having numbers is good. I think even for practices, you can insinuate some, if you want to have 4 kids in hitting at once and insinuate a game a little bit. People may not realize how much that helps just to have numbers and
yeah, we kind of did that last night. It was try to go with an inner squad, and this year they allowed 3 scrimmages that you can do. You can use them anytime during the year, and most people obviously are going to use them at the beginning of the year. And we chose not to do a scrimmage with another school this year. It's just so hard with the number of kids that we have in other sports, and to find a day where everybody's going to be ready to scrimmage. And we got 18 guys on the roster this year, so we talked about it, and we talked back and forth, and just finally decided that an inter squad would be our best bet. We can get a lot of kids an opportunity to throw on the mound, at bats, and situations in the field. And we ended up having a couple kids gone yesterday, but you still got 9 guys in the field, 7 guys hitting. So we moved them around, got to see some live pitching yesterday, and guys getting at bats, and just seeing things in the field. You try to emulate things in practice, but it's not always going to be the same. But you can hit infield and hit situations, but until they react to it in a game-like setting, it's still going to be tough for them. So,
well, speaking of pitching, this might be one of the deeper pitching staffs you had in a while too, as well. And with the newer, we kind of got 2 years now under these new pitch count rules, so it's kind of proven out that the deeper the pitching staff, the better off you're going to be in the long run.
Yes, definitely. That's what all of our pitchers. I think we lost one pitcher from last year, and he he probably threw 10 innings for us last year, but he probably threw more than that. But we have basically all of our starting pitching back, and a couple younger ones that are going to step up and hopefully see a little bit more, and and the guys that we're starting hopefully just being a little bit older, a little bit more experienced, that they're going to be able to last into the game a little bit longer. And with Cannon and Peyton both being sophomores now, that adds 15 pitches to their pitch count limits. So getting another inning out of them would be great, and hopefully just having the experience that those two have had, that they understand a little bit more about attacking the strike zone.
That's pretty much what you got to do with these pitch counts. You got to be. You can't waste any pitches. You have to be in, around, and close to that zone on every single pitch almost.
Yeah, and it's high school baseball. We're going to see some good hitters, and you got to pick and choose. Who you're going to be fine with, who you're going to nibble a little bit with, and then you got to get after the other ones. You can't sit and walk the 8 hitter to get to the 9 hitter who bunts him to second. And now, you start off the new lineup and
you
got a guy in scoring position.
You can't worry about how many strikeouts you have in a game either.
No. The strikeouts have become, they're kind of a bad thing now as a pitcher.
You want to pitch to contact.
Yeah.
And
give me that ground out on the second pitch of the at bat.
Absolutely. Quick pop out, something like that.
You don't get a lot of Chris Sale 9-pitch, 3 strikeout innings, like he had earlier this year. So.
No, and I think the thing that becomes difficult with scrimmaging early in the season is the weather hasn't been great, so it's kind of been a mixed pool of indoor and outdoor practices.
Yeah.
Arms aren't completely in shape. I know that every year early in the season, about that second week, everybody's arms sore. So trying to mix in a scrimmage, and then you're pitching kids that maybe aren't ready to pitch, and then does that drag into the season? And you just kind of want to avoid some of those early season injury things, and at least when you do an inter-squad scrimmage, you can control pitching a little bit easier, I think.
And when we do that, when you got a different school up there against you, your adrenaline's a little different. Yeah. You're throwing a little bit harder. You're doing things, just kind of overdoing things a little bit. So, we were able to keep everybody under 30 pitches. They're under 15. You're only going to throw an inning. Well, we stop an inning in the middle of an inning. That's it for pitch count. All right, switch. I had to throw half an inning. So waiting for another pitcher to warm up just to get the kid off the mound is like, and we don't need anybody to burn out their arms. We just, we get a lot of numbers, but you still got to be careful with your pitching. We're playing 6 games a week this year, 5 or 6 games a week. We got 4 that first week, and I'd like to be able to throw a lot of guys, but I'd like also not have to throw a lot of guys.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's one thing. Kind of the schedule has changed a little bit from last couple years too. Is we don't have that week where we have 3 in a certain amount of days or 4 within a certain amount of days, and it really kind of killed us a couple of times.
I think 5 or 4 years ago we had 5 doubleheaders in 6 days. It was Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
You couldn't do that now.
No.
There's no way possible.
I couldn't do it then. I mean, we were fortunate. I think one of them got rained out, and a couple years ago we had an 8-game week, and we got to game 8, and I had 2 eligible pitchers left. Yeah. I mean, 2 eligible players left to be able to pitch, and it wasn't. That's not good for anybody. And one kid goes out there, throws 90 pitches, and never pitched before in his life.
Yeah, and just for anybody that may be listening or watching that maybe doesn't know, there are rules on pitch counts in high school for a pitcher in a game and pitches in a week. And if you're a freshman or below, you can only pitch 90 pitches in a game. And I think, is it 150 a
150 for the week,
yep. And upper-class players can pitch 110 in a game and 180 in a week.
Right.
So it really, and then there's rest requirements. So if you pitch over so many pitches in a day, you have to rest so many days afterwards. So
they haven't tweaked any of that, have they?
They did tweak in one day. Like if you're playing a doubleheader, you come in and close out the first game. Last year if you threw 25 pitches that first game, you were done. You could not throw in the second game. But now you can throw up to 40 in the first game, and then still be able to pitch in the second game, but still cannot go over the 110. Total. And, I'd like to, going back when Pat and I were coaching together, and since Brad's been up, him and I coaching together, it's been one thing I've probably been overprotective. I think that 100's been a kind of a magic number for me, that it's like I've always felt like a kid needs to be able to play catch when he's older. Yeah. There's no sense in destroying a kid at this age, and you get some opportunities for other kids to throw in that situation too. But you see it in the big leagues, 120 pitch got a no-hitter going into the ninth inning, 120 pitches. You going to go out there again? No, you don't.
No.
No, they don't even go out after the fifth inning anymore.
Yeah, I know.
And I actually don't like it.
I don't either.
I'm a ride that horse until he's dead.
Yeah.
Nolan
But
Ryan
you're
is
not
the
paying
Nolan-
them $25 million a year either, though.
Nolan
That's
Ryan
the
philosophy.
yeah.
So the other thing in looking at the scrimmages and the preseason stuff, now this year you did have a lot of kids that participated in the Perfect Game Spring League and got a lot of game action in that league. So I think it was 8 or 9 kids that played.
Yeah.
Which is a great number, So those guys, most of them have pitched, got some at bats in, played a lot of positions in the field. So that always helps going into the season too.
Right. I always think going into the season that the hardest thing to get for a kid is live at bats.
Yep.
Because even when your own pitchers are throwing at you, you know your pitchers pretty well. You know what they're going to throw
Absolutely.
and what they want to throw. And the pitchers probably aren't geared up quite as much as you would see in a game. But you get into those leagues, man, and they're all geared up. They're ready to throw.
Yeah, and it's kind of fun, From my experience this year, we faced kids. Every week you're facing somebody that has a kid that's going to Division I, or we faced a kid that was going to Kansas State to pitch that was up to 88 to 89. And it's just fun for kids to get that experience.
Right.
You're not going to see that, very often in a high school game, but it's kind of fun for them to see that.
Yeah, definitely.
Go ahead.
No, I was just agreeing with you. That just being able to see the level of competition and seeing that stuff around there, it's the WAMAC has been it's a bear generally. You usually have a kid or two on each team that we're going to. 2, 3 kids sometimes that are going on to play college ball at some level, and at various times there's some big time players that are coming through here. So it's something they will see. A little bit in the WAMAC, but.
Yeah.
Being able to see a full team of kids, you're going up against 12, 14 guys that are all going to play college baseball at whatever level it is. It's something that you gotta be ready to play on every play, every pitch.
Well, that's the other thing. I think you've got some kids now at all levels or at all grade levels that have a desire to play beyond high school, and I think that helps with competition and maybe driving an overall work attitude maybe that is
an atmosphere,
Yeah, it's just an atmosphere. I think those kids are finally starting to, they're looking beyond high school and have some dreams of that. So hopefully they continue to work hard and put the time in. And
yeah, and those are the kids that need to see that, what other kids are like and what other kids are doing. And, if you got to get away from the mentality that, oh, I'm the best in my class and at this school, so I'm good enough. No.
Yeah.
That's not the case, and it's something that we got to be able to work through in baseball and basketball and football and softball and volleyball, whatever it is,
And there's always somebody out there working just as hard or harder than you are. I guarantee it, and I've seen it. And there's a lot of people that put a lot of effort in. So
yeah, great example. I know Trent Bowman graduated 5 years ago, and he's graduating tomorrow from college, going in his graduation ceremony. And he was a kid that had a love of the game and had a work ethic, and coming out of high school, I talked to his dad about he's going to be a second baseman, possibly, and, just didn't have the arm strength, but he didn't accept that. He wanted to make himself available to play at whatever position. And I mean, he went and did things and worked his butt off and, ended up playing, at a Division II school. He was playing shortstop most of the time, played some third base. He played outfield, become one of the best hitters on the teams that he was on.
And people would be shocked at the level of commitment it takes to do that.
Yes.
I don't think people truly understand the amount of time and effort. And like you said, there are going to be times where you fail and people are going to tell you you're not good enough or, whatever it may be. You mentioned his arm strength maybe wasn't good enough, but it's every great story I think you hear is some kid that overcame that adversity and didn't listen to what other people thought.
Yeah, exactly. It's fun to coach kids like that when you tell them, he's probably not going to be able to get to this level. And they say, well, no, you're wrong. I'm going to.
Sometimes that drives kids.
Yeah.
Well, Monday night Tipton, any thoughts on the season opener, Coach?
I hope it's a season opener. You know, we've had them scheduled for 3 or 4 years now, and haven't played them. So I'm hoping we do get a chance to play them. So I don't know a lot about the team. I just looking at their roster, looking at their stats from last year. I know they got I think a junior that led them in pitching last year, a number of innings he pitched, and so he'll be back this year to throw. And
I would assume we'd see him probably.
yeah, I mean I don't know a lot about the team, but you know that's what these early season games are for. These non-conference games, I love them for that reason. You know, I don't have to go out and say, okay, well, you know, this guy does this guy.
Yeah.
You know, we're going into those games concerned with, all right, what do we need to do? You know.
Yeah.
We got to have guys at certain positions. I want to move a couple guys to some different places, and you know, we're going to go in with a plan as to what we want to do defensively, and some different kids that we want to see in some different spots, and see how they react in game situations. And then you just hope kids go up there and have a plan at the plate, and I'm going to be aggressive on the pitches that I see in the strike zone and drive the ball to the outfield.
I think mentally in a first game situation, it is kind of nice to play somebody you don't know and you've never seen, where kids don't have that predetermined. Like you said, you know your pitchers, but you also know the pitchers and the players from all the local teams that you play every year.
Yeah.
So when you go play somebody, there's no, oh my God, this is so and so, and he struck me out 3 times last year. There's none of that. You know, it's maybe it helps you mentally that, all right, clean slate, everybody's starting from scratch. We know not just go out there and play the game, and I think that helps. I mean, baseball's such a mental game anyway.
Yeah. Well, and you know, Davenport North on Wednesday night will be the same situation. You know, we play them every year, and we're competitive with them, and you know we've beat them in the past, and but it's a game that you know I love playing that game against Davenport North. You know they know it's a 4A school, but it's a well-coached team. They're a good team to play against. You never get any, you know, it's just fun baseball, and so
yeah, and they you know that they have good pitching. I know the guy that pitched against us last year's back.
Yeah, they got boy, what do they have? They had a ton of juniors on their team.
They're deep. They've got some talent and. But we played them. I think it was a 5-1 game or something last year. I mean,
we've always played them close.
It was a respectable game, and so should be a good one too.
Yeah, and it'll just be a matter, you know, if, like I said before, that on Monday if we're able to get our pitchers to go out there throw strikes, limit the number of pitchers that we throw, so that we come Wednesday night we'll have you know a pretty good staff to throw at them. So.
And then you got the Memorial Day weekend break, which is kind of nice after the first 4 games. Get a little break, let all the arms rest a little bit.
Yeah, the extra week this year during the season. So, normally we would play a Friday night doubleheader against Vinton Shellsburg, and we were able to move that to later in the year, which makes it real nice. Which is why we changed the Tipton and Davenport North games to varsity doubleheaders. Otherwise, they're normally a reserve game with a varsity game to follow. And
also, they're both varsity doubleheaders this year.
They're both varsity doubleheaders this year. We've changed a few of those to that point so that we were getting a few more varsity games in, figuring, you know, last year with 12 guys on the staff or 12 guys on the team, and didn't realize,
you know, we suburban to games.
Yeah, we had 4 or 5 guys I didn't play last year that come out this year, so you know, it made our numbers a little bit higher, but otherwise I'm thinking, you know, we're only going to have 12 guys. That's going to be the same guys whether we play reserve or varsity.
Yeah, right,
so
exactly.
Just decided to make them all varsity games, and
the hope is that some of those kids they'll show something that maybe you didn't expect and surprise you, and that's always welcome.
Yeah, definitely. You know, I did. You know, a couple of freshmen that Mitchell Rader and Hunter Manning up this year that are dressing right now, and hopefully we'll be able to see some things, you know, put them in situations. You know, Mitchell was in a lot of different situations last year, but, you know, Hunter, I said, you're going to travel with us, just be around it, and, you know, you're going to get some time and might not get as much, but, you know, a kid like that, if he gets an opportunity and shows you something, it's, you know, prove to me that you can, you know, that's what we're looking for. And when you do it, it's going to, you know, you always tell a kid, make it hard for the coach not to play you.
Yeah.
Also noticed on the schedule something new. We're playing in a tournament this year?
Yeah, we have June 1st, I believe, right?
Yeah.
We're going to Anamosa this year, and just worked out scheduling-wise that we're able to without overloading us. And so I think it's Springville and Anamosa and us. And I'm not 100% sure. Originally, Wyoming was going to be part of it, but then they weren't, and now I think maybe they back are. So...
Is that a round robin?
If it's just the 3 teams, it'll just be round robin. Just play each other. Right. Just get a couple games in, which, you know, that would be something I could do more often, I think, is, instead of, your non-conference games, doing that, having 3 teams meet at one field and play 2 games against a couple different opponents,
Well, it's very prevalent in the softball world. So.
Yeah.
Well, it saves a little cost probably for every school too, and travel. You don't have to go to 2 separate opponents, or somebody.
Yeah,
Can
you're
host
traveling to one spot, and it's going to be a longer day for somebody. But if you just make the home team have it the longer day, then that's not too bad of a deal. We used to go down to Calmus, and when Coach Dave Rock was there, and we played in a tournament with him, and North Cedar was there in Bellevue, and it wasn't really a tournament, but we'd always play Cal Wheaton Bellevue, and then North Cedar would play Cal Wheaton Bellevue, and I think it was just due to conference things that I don't know what the deal was that we weren't able to get a game in with North Cedar too, but it was it was nice, but I try to avoid Saturdays.
Yeah.
I know there's.
Oh, you think, are you busy or something?
No, I not even myself, but you got 5 seniors on the team on June 1st. What are the chances that one of them didn't want to have a graduation party that day?
Yeah, that's true.
My niece is having a
ours
graduation party that day. Yeah. And then I think the when we used to play at Cal Wheat, you go down, you play at 10 o'clock in the morning, and maybe there'd be 2 or 3 guys that are coming from the ACT that would show up later in the day, and so there's always something.
The other thing I think of is rest. I mean, you have to have some rest. The arms need some rest. Even position players, catchers,
Yeah.
And when you stretch the week to a Saturday, you're definitely not taking a day off during the week.
Right.
You're still practicing or playing all the other days. So that turns a 5-day week into a 6-day week,
Right.
and then you maybe only get 1 day of rest on the Sunday, which may not be enough for some kids. Rest is really important, I think, in my mind, for muscle recovery and that. So
Yeah, it definitely is. And when you talk about catchers, you and I both were behind there for a while, and it does wear on you.
Yeah.
And I think of just thinking of Mitchell Rader right now that's playing soccer, and then he comes to a baseball practice, and then goes to a soccer, or there's 4 or 5 guys doing that right now. He's the only one at the varsity with soccer anyway. But I asked yesterday, the day before, I was like, everybody's arms are talking about, are they sore? And he's like, yeah, my whole body. I'm like, I don't care about your body. How about your arm? Oh, my arm's fine. My legs are dead. And I was like, yeah, that's, you love to see the kids competing and participating. And it's just something you deal with as a coach. And summer coaches have to deal with it almost as bad as anybody else. The month of May as a high school athlete is difficult. 5 sports going on at once.
Well, even the summers have become very difficult, I think, with everybody, wants to get in their workouts in the basketball.
You got travel basketball, you got travel volleyball, you got.
Yeah, and there's, they're traveling on teams and open gyms and the rest of the time. And, I think as a part of, I was coaching boys basketball, currently coaching girls basketball as a part of the football staff. I think we've always talked to each other. We've always talked to each other about that. When is it time? When's a good time? When can we not conflict? And, with us, I think we talk a lot to each other to try to make it easy on the athletes, because it becomes tough on the athletes when they have to make a decision.
Yeah.
I'm going to miss this to do this. And, baseball's not my favorite sport. Football might be my favorite sport, but I'm playing baseball because I want to compete and be out there. But I don't want to miss these football workouts.
And you need those kids. Yeah, you got to have them. And in a small school, you share them. You need all the athletes to play all the sports, and you need to share them. And it's important to work together. And
we had I can't even remember, Chase Coakley was one.
Mm-hmm.
And, okay, he's going to college to play football. We know that. So I'm going to miss a week for football camp because of this. And I'm like, yeah, that's okay. It's not like you're going to miss a week to go fishing. You're going to camp. You're going to go do something. You're going to compete. But it's a situation that you deal with.
Yeah, and even for baseball, but it's tough for kids that want to move on to the college level to get exposure. If you're playing multiple sports, it's tough to get to camps and other things when you're playing year-round, so you have to work with those kids. So.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, Coach, it looks like you need to get down to the field here as the varsity squad's getting loose.
Well, it's nice to see them out there, and getting stretched out a little bit, getting on the bands, and getting ready to do some running. We got a little wrestling
You
going
get
on in
some
left
horse
field.
play
We
in
always
the
got to have the
outfield.
wrestling. Got to be at least one match every pre-practice. How they get loose.
There's always Grunwald's involved in that.
I'm surprised Liam's not.
Oh, he's headed out
yeah,
that way.
He saw the wrestling match, so he's on his way now. He's going to take care of it.
Who wants a shot at the title?
Yep. Abe's not here today, so Liam can act all tough. I do see Taven out there, though, so we
Yeah,
better be
I
careful
agree.
now.
And I noticed the quarterback is staying out of this.
Oh, he's doing his baseball duties.
Yep. Yeah, so hopefully I'll have a good one tonight. It'll be needed that little bit of a rain. It could have happened a couple hours earlier, and it'd be nice if it was all dried off by now, but
Well, I know there's a lot of kids that are excited, and that last practice is always kind of that last prep, and everybody's anxious and wants to get started. So
yeah, you get to that point where at the end of week 3 now it's time.
it's time.
Need to play a game. Kind of did that a little bit, but it's still against your teammates last night, so you still don't have the fire. You still don't get that. You need a different color across from you. So
All right.
All right.
appreciate
Coach.
you guys coming in.
Yep,
thanks
we'll be
a lot.
talking to you a lot during this season.
Don't forget to come up for the post-game interviews.
Oh, in between games.
In between,
I need 5 minutes in between the double headers.
I don't think
You
so.
can send Brad every now and then if you need to.
I'll just pick somebody out of the crowd. They'll come up and tell you how. it went.
No, I don't want Raider up here.
There you go. There you go. That'll be perfect.
All right.
All right. Thanks, Ray.
Yep.